So I would like to congratulate all you trainee Dhammadayada novices for as part of the ceremony taking the step to request to be a student from the monastic community. For many of the things in our Buddhist tradition, when you ask, oh, why is this ceremony? Or what's important about the ceremony? It's quite difficult to find out what the actual meaning is. And recently I asked, well, what actually is the reason for this ceremony? And most of the monks just said, it's really important and it's traditional, and the monks will help the students to do good deeds. So that didn't really give me a satisfactory answer to my question. I think the ceremony is actually much more like a contract between the student and the spiritual teacher, especially during the time of your training year. And what I notice is that the ceremony at the beginning of every training project is always to ask to be the student, and then at the end to ask forgiveness. So always have one at the beginning and one at the end. And of course, the contract between the student and the teacher means that if the teacher agrees to take you on as their student, then they must commit to training you properly. And if they take you on as a student, then you must also make yourself worthy as a student. Of course, for many spiritual teachers, they get so many students coming and say, we want to be your student. And they take one look at them and think, oh, this guy is such a troublemaker, I don't want him as my student. He's just going to make too much trouble for me. So I hope none of you are in that category. Oh, you are? Oh dear. So maybe... It's said to be important that at least the spiritual teacher thinks it's in their power to be able to do something good for you. And at least during the time of the training program. In fact, we are just the students of Buddhism ourselves. And when we are the teaching monks, then we always rely on our much bigger teachers. The biggest one at the top, the Buddha, coming down to the great abbot of Wat Pak Nam, Luang Pu. Yes. We also have Kun Yai. And we have the two venerables in Thailand, Venerable Dhammachiyo, Venerable Tachiwo. So, generally, even though personally we might not think we are up to training all of you, if you are really such naughty ones, like you say, but we have the backup of our teachers from Thailand. And it's said that asking to be a student of those specially root teachers of our tradition is a very important step, because they will look after you not just during your training, not just during this life, but even in lifetimes to come. So actually, to have this ceremony for becoming the student, it is a big step for your destiny. Yes, indeed. So, what does it involve, this contract? For the teaching monks, it means that the teaching monks have to really try their best to give you the proper training the best they can. They must be patient with you, they must be detailed, they must not be lazy in preparing all their lessons for you to learn. But on the other side, there's also a lot of responsibility for all of you to make yourself a worthy student. So, do you think that running around the temple making a lot of noise is to be a worthy student? Maybe not. Or scaring the neighbors? Making so much noise? No. So maybe that would be the sort of thing you want to reduce in order to be the worthy student. But in the traditional teachings of Thailand, it didn't used to be this just jasmine flowers or incense or just flowers generally, which they would offer to their teacher, but they would offer three things, which are the symbols of the virtues which the student needs in order to be a worthy student. And the first sort of flower which they offered is the aubergine flower. You know, aubergine? Eggplant? Okay, got eggplant here now too. Okay. So eggplant normally grows along like a cucumber shape. And the flowers of the eggplant, only the one that hangs down will ever develop the fruit. The one that sticks its head up in the air, oh, I know it all already, like this. They will never get any fruits, and it will just wither and die. So this is the first sort of flower that they offer on the student acceptance ceremony. And it is the symbol of the humility which every student needs in order to make a successful study of Buddhism during their novice training. The second thing is a special sort of coarse grass, sort of grass you see growing next to the footpath, which is so hard-wearing that even though people trample over it many thousands of times each day, it will still grow up again strong afterwards. And coarse grass like this, they also weave it into a little basket, and they make that an offering for their teachers because that is a symbol of patience. Why do you need patience? Because it's not easy. It's not easy. You have to overcome many faults in yourself. You have to overcome many things that are uncomfortable for you, but yet you keep going anyway. Third thing, it is the popcorn. Of course, in Thailand it's pop rice, but popcorn is probably what you're more familiar with. Normally, popcorn has to stay in the heat a long time before it becomes popcorn, otherwise it will just be corn. So you have to be in the heat for a long time, continuously, to come out as something tasty and sweet and worth eating. And they will also offer that popcorn to their teachers as a symbol of self-discipline, especially keeping the precepts, especially keeping the 10 precepts that we will have to keep as the novice. These will be the things which will be important for us. So you can think of today's ceremony as being like a commitment to the qualities of being the good student, the humility, the patience, the self-discipline, which you all need. And in the meantime, then it is also a contract where the monks will look after the trainees and the trainees will look after the monks. So my hope is that all of you will, having made the declaration to be a student, will now be very worthy students, and maybe there will be lots more students to join you before long as well, at least one or two. And I think it will clear the way in many ways that you might not imagine beforehand in your ability to transform yourself and become the better person in the way that you wish, even though the training schedule only allows for 2 weeks of your time.